Funding for local broadcast of Nightly Business Report has been provided by viewers like you and by the following. IMS Capital Management and the IMS family of no-load mutual funds celebrating 17 years of serving Northwest investors. IMS Capital Management.
AT&T says what's yours is theirs. The company is changing its privacy policy for its web and video services and says customers who don't like it could face problems. Some members of Congress didn't like it today and criticized the telecom giant for making the move.
It's a fuzzy picture when it comes to the future of Spanish television operator Univision. An auction to sell off the media company seems to be fizzling out, with no clear idea of who, if anyone, is going to emerge victorious.
Shares of British Airways lose ground as the carrier says it and other airlines are facing a price-fixing probe under scrutiny on both sides of the Atlantic, cargo shipments and passenger fares.
Also tonight, if you think this is the only type of medical treatment you can get, you might be in for a surprise. In our Bill of Health segment tonight, a look at alternative medicine.
I'm Paul Kangas.
And I'm Susie Garrow. This is Nightly Business Report for Thursday, June 22nd.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by
Franklin Templeton Investments, providing a unique perspective through the specialized investment expertise of Franklin Templeton Mutual Series and Fiduciary Trust. Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective.
And by A.G. Edwards.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Consumer groups attacked AT&T's new privacy policy today, even though it doesn't go into effect until tomorrow. Privacy advocates are concerned that the telecom company could hand over account information of its internet and video customers to the government. AT&T's policy overhaul follows recent reports that the company gave the National Security Agency access to its voice and data networks without a warrant. AT&T is now being sued over that matter. Stephanie Du reports.
The changes to AT&T's privacy policy give the company ownership over customer account information. Legal experts say the policy will limit AT&T's liability in any future lawsuits over its use of customer data, and it opens the door to new uses of that information.
AT&T essentially is claiming or preparing itself to claim broader rights to sell, otherwise treat that data as if it were as it is. It now claims AT&T's, not the customers.
AT&T's new policy states, quote, while your account information may be personal to you, these records constitute business records that are owned by AT&T. As such, AT&T may disclose such records to protect its legitimate business interests, safeguard others, or respond to legal process. AT&T's old policy was not as explicit, saying customer records may be shared to respond to legal requests. AT&T says customers must agree to the new guidelines before they can get service. Privacy advocates say the new policy goes too far.
It represents a significant shift in the kinds of privacy protections that consumers are going to have when they do business with AT&T.
AT&T is also making clear to its customers that it will track their video watching habits to, quote, personalize their viewing experience. At a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing this afternoon on its merger with Bell South, AT&T CEO Ed Whitaker defended the plan.
The spirit of our policies, privacy policies and practices have not changed. We wanted to make our policies easier to read and easier to understand for our customers and to reflect the changes to our company and our new products.
But lawmakers are clearly concerned about the changes.
Beginning to wonder if anybody deals with American deals with your company, whether they have any privacy at all left.
Sprint and Verizon say they have no plans to adopt similar policies. But analysts say if AT&T can make the changes without a big public outcry, its competitors will follow suit. Stephanie Du, Nightly Business Report, Washington.
Wall Street opened lower on profit-taking from yesterday's sharp rally. Rising oil prices also prompted some of the selling. A drop in the May leading economic indicators was yet another negative. After an hour of trading, the Dow was off 50 points and NASDAQ down 18. An uptick in interest rates today and fear of another rise at next week's Fed policy meeting kept stocks on the defensive for the rest of the day. So the Dow Industrial Average goes off 60.35 points at 11,019.11. The NASDAQ Composite fell 18.22, ending at 2122.98. Standard & Poor's 500 Index down 6.60 at 1245.60. Over in the bond market, the 10-year note fell 13/30 to 99 and 11/30, lifting the yield all the way up to 5.21%.
The White House said today that Treasury Secretary-designate Henry Paulson will sell his holdings in his former Wall Street investment firm, Goldman Sachs. Paulson and his wife will sell their stock in order to conform with federal conflict of interest rules. He now owns just under 3.25 million shares of Goldman. That's worth more than $480 million at current prices. Paulson's total net worth is estimated to be above $700 million. His nomination to replace outgoing Treasury Secretary John Snow is expected to be approved by the Senate before the July 4th recess. Meanwhile, another departure today from the Federal Reserve's Open Market Committee roster. Atlanta Fed Bank President Jack Gwynn is retiring after 32 years at the bank. Gwynn says he's leaving to spend more time on community and civic work. He'll be replaced by an interim basis by the Atlanta Bank's first vice president, Patrick Barron. With Gwynn leaving, there will be 3 open slots on the FOMC. Fed Governor Mark Olson resigned just yesterday, and Vice Chairman Roger Ferguson left in April.
The Lord & Taylor department stores will soon have new owners. Federated Department Stores today announced a deal to sell the chain for nearly $1.2 billion. The 48 stores and 1 distribution center are being bought by a private partnership of Apollo Real Estate Advisors and National Realty and Development Company. The new owners say they will keep the Lord & Taylor brand, positioning it as an upscale fashion retailer. Federated is selling the chain so it can focus on its Macy's and Bloomingdale's stores.
Also up for sale these days, Univision, the biggest Spanish-language broadcaster in the United States, has put itself up for auction. But as Scott Gervey reports, the bids are not exactly rolling in.
Behind-the-scenes struggle for control of Univision is worthy of any of the telenovelas popular on Spanish-language television. This is the fastest-growing TV market in the United States, and Univision attracts about 80% of the audience. Analysts say that makes it an attractive buy, which could fetch as much as $13 billion, $40 a share. Mexico City-based Televisa was considered to have the inside track, but yesterday it missed a bidding deadline set by Univision. Televisa needed American partners because U.S. law prohibits foreigners from owning more than 25% of a domestic broadcaster. Televisa was apparently unable to come to terms with a consortium of American buyout firms. That left only one bid, American billionaire Chaim Saban, leading another consortium. But that bid was reportedly rejected, coming in at only $11 billion, $35 a share.
Some of the private equity firms in each syndicate have dropped out along the way. In a smaller deal, we'd hardly notice. In this deal, very visible. Why? The multiples and the valuation are very high for this unique growth asset. So some may be skittish about valuation.
Univision's stock has been rising this year in anticipation of a ratings boost as a result of the popular World Cup, as well as a move to the Nielsen National TV Index starting next year. That's the index most national advertisers use when they place commercials.
The attraction comes, in our opinion, from the demographics of the Spanish language segment. We think that based on all the statistics, whether it's the population growth or the disposable income or the growth in Spanish language advertising that we've seen, we believe these statistics support continued strong growth of the Spanish language media segment, and no company, in our opinion, is better positioned to benefit from this trend than Univision.
A spokesman for Televisa says it is still preparing a bid, but analysts say Univision may cancel the auction if it thinks the bids are too low. Analysts say that may not be bad for investors in the long run. Scott Gervey, Nightly Business Report, New York.
The U.S. House passed a dramatic cut in the estate tax today, also called the death tax. The move exempts most estates from taxes, letting individuals pass on up to $5 million tax-free, with couples getting a $10 million exemption. The bill also restores the estate tax in 2010, deleting what had been a one-year reprieve from it entirely under an earlier law. The bill now heads to the Senate. President Bush and Republicans in Congress want to abolish the estate tax, claiming it is unfair to tax businesses and farms left to the next generation. Opponents say the legislation will cost the Treasury about $1 trillion in the next decade.
Boeing may be about to log off its in-flight internet service permanently. The aircraft maker said today it's evaluating the service to decide what's best for both the business and its customers. The comments came in response to published reports that Boeing might dump its connection service because it hasn't made money in 6 years. The service is estimated to have cost Boeing about $1 billion so far. Connection lets users surf the internet during flight. It's currently used by a handful of international carriers on long-haul flights. Also today, Boeing announced that Hong Kong-based Cathay Pacific Airways has ordered 6 of its 747 extended-range freighter jets.
Speaking of Cathay Pacific, the carrier is carving out airspace in mainland China's tightly controlled aviation market. Cathay is spending nearly $1.75 billion to buy the shares it doesn't already own in Hong Kong-based Dragon Airlines. That also doubles its stake in the mainland carrier Air China. As Mark New reports from Hong Kong, the deal could have a huge impact on just what carriers fly in the skies over China.
Hong Kong has long been considered the gateway to mainland China, but up till now, the territory's flag carrier Cathay Pacific has only been allowed to fly to 3 cities in mainland China. The Dragon Air deal now gives them direct access to 20 other Chinese cities.
And it's, if you like, the last piece of the jigsaw that we needed to put together in order to be a true force in world aviation.
The deal also gives Cathay access to Air China's network, which includes flights from city to city throughout the world's most populous country. Cathay is doubling its stake in Air China from 10 to 20%. Cathay is the only non-mainland shareholder in a mainland passenger airline.
Getting into an equity alliance, strong equity alliance, with the biggest and most iconic airline from the world's fastest growing market, and an airline that is in a relatively earlier stage of development with enormous potential.
And that potential for development is certainly making itself known, particularly in more mature commercial aviation markets.
At Chek Lap Kok Airport in Hong Kong, more than 40 million passengers pass through here every year. It's by far the busiest airport in this southern China Pearl River Delta region. But just across the border, only about an hour away from here, several mainland Chinese airports are quickly catching up.
Take Guangzhou's Baiyun Airport. 8 years ago, 12 million people passed through annually. Today, that's doubled to nearly 24 million. But aviation analyst Elizabeth Bosher believes the Cathay deal will only bring more traffic into Hong Kong and the rest of China.
I think this is going to happen is that international passengers coming into Hong Kong will be able, on one ticket, first of all to arrive in Hong Kong, then maybe to move into the mainland on Dragon Air to their first port of call. But then they can take Air China to a far wider range of destinations.
But getting to those destinations might not be as simple as that, because while traffic in the skies may increase, traffic may also jam.
All of Chinese airspace is still under military control, but that certain corridors are opened up for use by civil aircraft. The problem is that these corridors, particularly between very frequented points like Shanghai and Hong Kong, are simply not wide enough, large enough to cope with the amount of traffic that now wants to go through it.
And that traffic will grow. China's other 2 national carriers are also likely to be looking for similar deals with foreign airlines, raising the stakes in the competition for a piece of China's skies. Mark New, Nightly Business Report, Hong Kong.
Now let's take a look at our stocks in the news tonight. Big board volume leader on 18.4 million shares, Sprint Nextel losing 54 cents. The Barrett brokerage downgraded the stock from outperform to neutral on concerns over subscriber growth prospects. Then Boston Scientific down 50 cents a share, traded as low as $18.06. The Wall Street Journal today reports some cardiac centers are cutting back on the use of drug-coated stents due to rising concern over blood clots. Johnson & Johnson's the other dominant company in the stent field, and its stock was down 61 cents. General Electric fell 18 cents. Pfizer, 4-cent drop there. Fifth in volume was EMC Corp, which dropped 20 cents. 13-cent loss in Time Warner. Hewlett-Packard fell 77 cents. Ford Motor held steady. That was a triumph in the active list. ExxonMobil, 9-cent drop. And Univision was down $1.04. You heard the story earlier. British Airways down $4.09. The Department of Justice and its British counterpart are probing alleged cartel activity involving this company and other majors in regard to price fixing on airfares and cargo, etc. Then General Mills edged up 90 cents. Merrill Lynch upgraded it from neutral to buy on a valuation basis, thinks the stock is reasonable. Excuse me, MasterCard had a nice move of $1.30 gain. Morgan Stanley started covering it with an overweight rating and a $56 a share target price. You'll recall that the stock went public on May 25th at a price of $39, so it's moved up nicely. Green Mountain Power, big move, up $5.76. Northern New England Energy will acquire the company for $35 a share in cash. Gerber Scientific rose 91 cents, almost 9% move. Fourth quarter earnings came in at 17 cents a share, 6 cents above the street estimate, and the company is looking forward to a strong 2007 performance. A.G. Edwards, the major brokerage, up $1.16. First quarter earnings jumped to $1.01 versus only 67 cents a year ago, and revenues were up a handsome 17%. Google topped the active list, down $2.18. The company did sell its 2% stake in Baidu.com, and Baidu stock tumbled $4.20 to $80.20 on the news. Apple Computer was up $1.72. Then Microsoft a 20-cent loss. Teva Pharmaceutical dropping $1.02. And Qualcomm fell $2.82. Nokia is not going to produce CDMA-based handsets with Sanyo. And of course, Qualcomm sells that CDMA technology, so not going to get any business that they had planned. Intel down 15, 38-cent drop in Cisco. Oracle off 20 cents. Bed Bath & Beyond down $2.21, 35-cent first quarter earnings. That was in line, but the estimate full year 217 is below the street estimate. And then Dell down 21 cents a share, 10th in volume. And Oracle, we wanted to get an Oracle in, 20 cents a share gain after the close. Fourth quarter earnings 29 cents, a penny better than estimates. The stock moved up 9 to 10 cents a share after hours. And those are the stocks in the news tonight. Susie?
Paul, these days more and more people are looking outside the mainstream for help with some of their medical problems. That's where complementary and alternative medicine comes in. As Jeff Yasteen reports in tonight's Bill of Health report, the field is booming and now drawing the attention of federal researchers.
Some people call it holistic medicine, others alternative or complementary medicine, and it covers everything from acupuncture to herbal supplements, hypnotherapy, and more. Now, its results are still subject to debate and investigation, but that hasn't stopped nearly half of all Americans from having used some form of alternative medicine in the past year. And in the process, they've spent more than $27 billion.
What I do and what other people do with holistic medicine is help people to heal themselves.
People like Larry Sherman are believers in the power of alternative medicine. He lectures often on its benefits at gatherings like this one.
I think more people are more prone to use holistic medicine now. But still, a lot of people, you know, there's a saying, seeing is believing. And this is something that you can't see. It's something that you have to do. You have to plant seeds in your head just the way you plant seeds in a garden.
That garden is big enough that the National Center for Complementary and Alternative Medicine, part of the National Institutes of Health, has a budget of more than $100 million funded by the federal government. The center was created by Congress in 1998. The mission to study the effects of outside the mainstream treatments like acupuncture.
Very few of these have been studied in any detail. It's only been the last 10 years or so that a very systematic approach has been taken to studying these using the most scientific, rigorous methods. A good example is acupuncture. We're beginning to understand if acupuncture works, what it might work for, and how it might work.
Take a few breaths.
Practitioners like Brian Sheen say the ongoing federal research has helped bring more mainstream acceptance to complementary and alternative medicine, and he says the growth of the internet is also boosting awareness.
Because now it's no longer I have to wait to go to the authority to get my answer when I have my doctor's appointment. I've got a question, I can go online, and there are doctors out there. There are so many resources that I can get direct knowledge. I can talk, to the chat rooms of people who've been dealing with this problem. And so there's this information source on the internet that didn't exist before.
One thing emphasized over and over to us, the research on the safety and effectiveness of many therapies is still ongoing, and no one should use any alternative therapy without consulting their personal physician first. Jeff Yasteen, Nightly Business Report, Bill of Health.
Tomorrow, our Friday Market Monitor guest is Jeffrey Everett, Chief Investment Officer of Templeton Global Advisors.
Tonight's commentator tackles a topic that Congress is tackling. It's called net neutrality. Here's Robert X. Cringely, columnist at PBS.org.
The U.S. Congress has recently been tussling with a technical concept called net neutrality. This either means that internet service providers will be able to offer priority treatment to certain types of content, their own content, or that of customers paying a premium, or they'll be prohibited from doing so. This is arcane, but the value of this as yet unmade congressional decision is in the hundreds of billions of dollars. Internet service providers feel that they should be able to make money from priority services, while the nerds who invented the internet thought that they had specifically prohibited such special deals. That's why Congress is involved. But given the preponderance of telco lobbying dollars, the future of net neutrality is definitely in doubt. This doesn't mean, however, that we won't still be able to download music and videos from the net, because for all the whining of the cable and telcos, from a technical standpoint, the target of this push against net neutrality is only one thing, and that's internet telephone service. Internet telephone service is especially sensitive to packet meddling, meaning that an AT&T or Verizon can keep out a Skype or a Vonage. This is done all the time in other countries, by the way, where internet manners are less genteel and local communication companies are more firmly in charge. From the telco perspective, what's at stake is their voice service that they see as the basis of their fortunes. For the cable companies, it's a chance to have an effective monopoly among their internet customers. So net neutrality isn't generally about Amazon or Apple or eBay or Google or Microsoft or Yahoo. That is, unless they want to get into the telephone business, which of course they do, or did. I'm Bob Cringely.
Finally tonight, if you've been wondering who's been walking off with all the paper clips and pens your office buys, you might want to check the pockets of your younger workers. A new survey shows that 1 in 5 workers between the ages of 18 and 24 don't think it's stealing to take home office supplies. They consider it just taking things or a fringe benefit. Experts say the younger employees are more apt to take materials because they're more apt to leave their jobs, so they don't worry about being fired for theft. And apparently, Paul, this isn't a small problem. It's believed that employees steal more than $50 billion, that's with a B, worth of goods from their employers each year.
What do they call these people, Susie? Paper kleptomaniacs?
That's cute. That's Nightly Business Report for Thursday, June 2nd, 22nd rather. I'm Susie Garib. Good night, everyone. Good night to you, Paul.
Good night, Susie. I'm Paul Kangas, wishing all of you the best of goodbye.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by...
I'm gonna miss you guys.
Congratulations.
Good luck, Gary.
Bye-bye, thanks.
Bye, Care Bear.
Leaving one job for another?
Hey, Gary.
Don't forget to take your nest egg. Objective financial advice can help you roll over your retirement money. A.G. Edwards, fully invested in our clients.
Franklin Templeton Investments. After 50 years of worldwide investing, we see market opportunities through the eyes of experience. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective.
This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Stay with OPB. The Nightly Business Report is next.
For more information about investing, you may order Nightly Business Report's home video, The NBR Guide to Buying Bonds. This program is available in either the VHS or DVD formats.
We are PBS.
Funding for local broadcast of Nightly Business Report has been provided by viewers like you and by the following. IMS Capital Management and the IMS family of no-load mutual funds celebrating 17 years of serving.
Thanks to you at home for tuning